Okay, who grew up on the Baltimore Catechism? Raise your hand. Anybody? So what was the answer to the question, why God made me? Somebody's saying it here. Know, love, serve God. Know, love, and serve God. And to be happy with Him in heaven. So that's pretty much all I had to say. Just kidding. Okay. So I wanted to start with that because it's just basic fundamental. That's what kids learn, to know God, and then to love God, and then to serve God. That's why He made us, to serve Him. We got to deal with that. That's what I'm wrestling with in this reading is the fundamental nature of us as a servant. Whew. As the creatures made in the image and likeness of God, we're called to serve just like the angels. That's their joy. The ones that accepted God's plan of salvation and His lordship of the universe, His sovereignty, they're happy serving Him. As His messengers, they live to serve Him. It's their greatest joy and delight. The handmaid of the Lord, the Blessed Mother, the greatest example of our race, as the servant of the Lord, loves to serve the Lord and be His handmaid, because she understands how she's made, that this belongs and corresponds to her nature. So what is our nature? Well, we're made in the image and likeness of God, and we're called to serve. What does that tell us about God? I would argue God Himself is the self-emptying love that is the essence of being a servant. Our Lord wants us to be more than just, ticket punchers, and we punch in and punch out, and we're just doing this out of duty and obligation to get a wage. That's precisely what our Lord wants to come against ultimately. But at a baseline level, we have to reach a place of acceptance of our nature as a servant. That's where we're going to find true happiness. And it's like our Lord came and showed us that when He became this suffering servant of the Lord. The suffering servant of Isaiah, when He kind of revealed to us our true nature, when He took it up Himself and He came to serve, not to be served. I'm among you as one who serves. St. Paul in Philippians, the famous passage, He emptied Himself, taking the form of a servant. So our Lord is the example of service, and He tells us that the greatest among us will be our servant. The greatest among us. It's just a complete reversal of the values of this world or the thinking of this world. The Father doesn't lord it over the Son. To serve the Father and do His will is the Son's greatest delight. And the Father lays His life down for His Son. The two of them are this mutual exchange of this self-emptying love. All three persons of the Blessed Trinity, that relational dynamic is essentially one of service in a certain sense. And in some kind of divine sense, they are at the service of one another. The very nature of God that we're made in. It is better to give than it is to receive. St. Paul quotes our Lord, the saying of our Lord that St. Paul refers to in the Acts of the Apostles. He cites this quotation of our Lord, it is better to give than it is to receive. This is our greatest happiness. It's what we're made for. To know Him, love Him, serve Him, so we be happy with Him in the next. And true happiness is found in service, to make a gift of ourselves. It's more blessed to give than it is to receive. That is a metaphysical statement about reality that our Lord was making there, really, as the author of reality. True happiness. The givers are the ones who are happy, not the receivers. So God is this kind of self-emptying love or service, and He's the only God. There is no other. And there's no other reality. So to run from this truth is to run from our true identities, to run from reality and be like the evil one. I will not serve, non serviam. That's just utter folly and futility. There's no way we can escape God. He is everywhere. Learned that in the Baltimore Catechism. Where's God? He's everywhere. Little kids learn that. There's nowhere you can go and flee from His presence. Psalm 139. So we make creation bigger. Yeah, there's not just one universe. There's a multiverse. It doesn't matter. That doesn't do anything to somehow diminish the utter infinity of God's being. So what if there's a multiverse? There's many universes. God's infinitely bigger than all of them combined. Infinitely bigger. When you stop and count up how many universes, God exceeds all of it infinitely. The type of being He is just so awesome. And He can't get out of His own way. He is what He is. What I'm trying to get at here is this nature of the fixed nature of things that we have to accept deeply as a creature. That there's only one God, there's only one reality, and we just have to embrace on a deep level our identity as a servant. That's what we're made and designed to do. To know Him, love Him, and serve Him. And when we accept this and embrace that we are to be handmaids of the Lord, we find real happiness and joy and delight, just like the angels. To run from it is hell. To run from it is hell. Some people say, well, I'd rather reign in hell than serve in heaven. I'd much rather rain down in hell. What a stupid thing to say. You think you're going to reign down there? You're going to be a slave down there. You're going to be reduced to the worst type of slavery you can possibly imagine. Far worse than we experienced under Pharaoh's domination in Egypt. Okay, you're not going to be the boss down there. You're not going to reign. Folks find that out when they go down there. The demons don't reign either. There's one who reigns supreme down there, Satan himself. Because there is an objective hierarchical structure in reality. And it includes in the world of the demonic. So talk to an exorcist. What they'll tell you, they'll say, these demons don't want to leave that person. When they're sworn out, ex horcia, what the exorcist does is swear them out with the name of God by the authority of Christ invested in the church. He swears the devil out, exorcises him. And the devil, these demons have to, and there can be multiple demons, they have to obey. As long as the person possessed wants this exorcism to take place, has goodwill in the matter, they have to obey ultimately in the end. There's a struggle, but Christ wins the struggle. And what exorcists find out is the devil doesn't want to leave. These demons don't want to leave because they know they got to go back to hell. If they leave this person, they have a little bit of respite. They have this sick delight in tormenting this person. Gives them some respite from the slavery, abject slavery and horror and humiliation of hell under the domination of the devil, of Satan himself, and the whole hierarchical structure that exists. That's what the exorcists will tell you, and they're humiliated by it, these demons, and they go back to hell, and now they got to be humiliated, and they're going to be ashamed, and they're going to be ridiculed by the other demons. We're not going to reign in hell. Most demons do not. Of the countless demons, most of them, the majority of them by far, are not reigning supreme. They're in a state of total misery. They've rejected their nature as servants. To serve is to reign. Serving and reigning go together. Isn't that kind of an interesting little irony in Christianity? But that's exactly what the Catechism says. I love this. This is kind of neat. 786. King Christ, King and Lord of the universe, made himself the servant of all, as he came not to be served, but to serve. For the Christian, to reign is to serve him. You're like, wait a minute, I thought the exact opposite. Service means you're subordinated, you're subject. That's the beauty of this whole thing. It's like God is not what the devil wants us to think. Some kind of ogre, some kind of tyrannical dictator, jealous of his prerogatives and sees us as a threat and wants to keep us down and suppress us. That's not God at all. He wants to share his divine nature with us and elevate us to a status that's unimaginable. Unimaginable. In the book of Revelation, basically, service, to serve God, to worship God, and to reign with God go together. He who conquers, I will grant him to sit with me on my throne, our Lord says, as I myself conquered and sit on my Father's throne. Sit with my Father on his throne. He's we're called to serve him and be happy with him forever in heaven. But God, remember, is a servant leader in a certain sense. He's not what the devil wants us to think and is deceiving the whole human race to form this distorted picture of God. God is self-emptying love. He is service itself. Now, tomorrow night I'm doing a little Bible study on Joshua, Bible class. So I thought, well, let me throw in a little Joshua here because it ends on a great note, the book of Joshua, where they've entered the promised land now. And Joshua renews the covenant with them like Moses. Moses called them to serve the Lord. Know, love, and serve the Lord. That's right out of Deuteronomy. Now, Joshua kind of renews that, reiterates that with the people of Israel. And he says to fear the Lord and serve him in sincerity and in faith. And put away all those gods you served beyond the river, back in Ur the Chaldeans or in Egypt. Forget these other gods. They don't exist. There's only one God. And we're called to love him, know him, and serve him. So put away all those gods and serve the Lord. Choose this day whom you will serve. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord.